Welcome to the NBA.com. This is John's reports for the 14th of December, celebrating another birthday. Ooh la la. But what a bizarre day yesterday was. I mean, we had just were discussing yesterday, in fact, there's no justification for the Fed to do anything in this upcoming FOMC. And then all of a sudden, the only thing that we said that would have been, a direct relationship to it would have been changing policy to accommodate, the fact that Biden was suffering so badly uh, from the polls, and that would be you would have to do kind of now make a change in order for it to have an effect for the election. And then lo and behold, all of a sudden, um, yeah, complete change. So market took off from that. I mean, geez, the guy says that he's all of a sudden just going to ignore everything that is out there. But it's an interesting too reaction from the market because while he's suggesting that, oh yeah, we're stopping and then we're going to go to easing, well, is he saying that the economy is about to fall off a cliff? Or is he just saying they're doing it for conveniences? Because they certainly didn't have inflation completely eliminated or anything. So it's one of the more bizarre things, completely consistent with what we see in the reading. So did the market know something, or at least some players beforehand, which is why we were continuing to see nothing but cyan under red and no change whatsoever in DOC readings from a positive as well as from an MBI reading. It was an opportunity to suck a few more shorts in because we saw the MBI weight starting to climb, and they were all forced to cover immediately. So what a bonanza for those who knew what Powell was going to talk about. NQ is a little bit more muted to the S&P, and that's not too big a shock. They'd already had a much stronger, more massive run prior to that, but it's really quite a dramatic change. And so while we were thinking how stupid the bond market was as they were front-loading massive rate cuts, well, now they're even further ahead of the game. Um, it could be still a little wrong. I mean, because the pause of the Fed isn't actually cutting anything, though you would think they would have to start at the beginning of next year with cuts to have any impact to, uh, help for election time. But, this obviously is going to be a nice boost on everyone's year-end 401ks and certainly for bonuses on all the people who have, the warrants and or stock options. So they're going to be thrilled to death. Oil, modestly okay. This isn't like we're dipping back into the 50s and 40s or anything like that, but um, certainly, as we talked about, much healthier for the economy and also reduces the pressure for inflation, but doesn't eliminate it at this level. So maybe your rate of increase for inflation might drop down a bit, but it's still going to be running up there. And that, of course, was a dream come true for those wanting to push the euro because you weaken the dollar. Because who needs to invest in a dollar now with the yields dropping so dramatically and potentially going to drop even further? Well, yeah, we can jump into the ECB, which is still well behind where the Fed is. So it's comical in so many areas, but this is the reality of what you see. Um, and then you get the counter move of gold spiking on this as well, because there are some other players who are saying that this is going to be inflationary in and of itself, which means it's capitulation. There's no attempt to try and squeeze it off, and pretty good idea where that's going to ramp to. There was also a bolster. Well, we'd already seen the support for Bitcoin, and then we're looking fairly decent at this particular stage. We did start to see just the briefest of DOC spreads, but as we talked about, once we had steel coming from below the negative 13.5, that should have been enough to hold the 76, and it was. And then you throw in the market exuberance, and that just continued to push it right through. So that's all pretty consistent. We get the exact same move from ETH. So all that well in line with an expectation from a 50K standpoint. This rally began the other day and then just sort of paused, waited, and then boom, just took off. So it did. Where did we buy here? This first buy was at 46.77 and 46.82. So yeah, nearly 100 points. Actually, at the peak, it already achieved 100 points. That's how fast it can happen. And interesting enough. I mean, for a 5 minute chart, it kind of reflects how ridiculous it was. We had like zero real activity taking place prior to. We opened nothing, and then the about face by the Fed, and look out, and it just went boom from there. And it hasn't stopped. It's still doing that in post market because there's just so much excitement that everybody's got now. Because the Fed stopping means that everything is wonderful. But I don't see how everything is wonderful if the Fed is stopping. It doesn't make a lot of sense because then you have the situation where there's obviously, uh, if they're stopping, that means there's not enough significant growth and or movement to justify continuing. So got to weigh both of those. But for now, the market sees free money as more relevant than economic activity, and I think that is something to bear in mind. That becomes more significant. Though I don't see things falling off a cliff at any particular point just yet. So the market's looking at a double win there because if things stay relatively benign and the Fed starts to ease, make money cheaper, everybody's going to be, jumping up and down, heading to the bank. So that's an interesting turn of events. Definitely didn't see that one coming because that is a complete reversal of everything that he's been saying, at least Powell, for quite some time. So uh, the market reaction to it definitely exuberant. So there you have it. As anything relevant continues to pop up, I'll certainly present it. That was all pretty clean stuff, and indicators caught it early. So clearly, some people knew in advance because they were starting to position, and that's how we were able to see it. And that's the relevance of having the algo setups. As always, though, trade well. Anything new, I'll put it up on the Skype chat. Have a good one.